Raymond James, Washington policy analyst Ed Mills. Ed, great to have you with us. We've got a lot of news to go through today, so we appreciate your time. Where do we stand on the shutdown? Do you see any movement on either side?
Melissa, it is most likely that we are shutting down. There's not a lot of movement. We are going to have this meeting later this afternoon. Meetings are good. However, we have two sides that don't want to blink. Both sides think that they are to the benefit to shut this down. Republicans think Democrats will be blamed, and Democrats think that the Trump administration and congressional Republicans will be blamed. So we're more likely than not. Republicans are saying that this clean CR is something that Democrats have supported in the past. So if we do avoid something, Melissa, it's because they're able to say, let's keep it open, maybe for a shorter time period than what has already passed the House, to get some more negotiations, because certainly there are some downsides to these employees who are on furlough, potentially kind of out of work for a longer time because of the kind of Rusvat memo out of OMB. So it's a tightrope, but we're more likely than not to shut down at this point.
Ed, you say that typically the party that, is digging in its heels and is essentially causing a shutdown tends to get blamed. But I guess the question is, blamed for what in particular this time around? Obviously, if there's permanent layoffs, that's probably not going to be popular. But in general, is there something you would look at to say, here's going to be the knock-on effect? Or is it just kind of the general dissatisfaction with government that can't get things done?
Yeah, Mike, you're right. So it's the general playbook has been the party that brings you into the shutdown gets blamed, and the party who brings you into the shutdown gets nothing for the shutdown. The last shutdown, there was a poll out that showed that 90% of Americans had blamed Republicans, and it was quick after that that we worked to reopen the government here in D.C. This would be the first shutdown that has been driven by Democrats in the last 5. So that is where it could be different. But, Mike, I know that you always look at the markets, and at Raymond James, we ask the question, what do markets do when the government shuts down? And on average, the S&P 500 is up 3.2%. We see that in the kind of small caps as well. So we do think that this is an event that provides a lot of headline risk. But we would say if there's a market reaction here, buy the shutdown.
What time frames are you looking at, Ed, when you come up with that? Now, I'm just curious because there are varying degrees of shutdowns. The last complete shutdown, I think, was more than a decade ago, if we're going to actually compare the actual extent and length of the shutdown to this one. And then also what I found interesting is your shutdown playbook, where you identify sectors that will outperform during a shutdown.
Yeah, so Melissa, what we did was we looked at what the market did in the week or 30 days leading up to a government shutdown, what they actually performed during the shutdown, and what was 30 days after. So we've had 5 shutdowns since 1995. The longest was 22 days. When we look at the market, it's not a ton of kind of data here, but it was up on average that 3.2%. We have seen the 10-year sell off at times, on average down 11 basis points. So we've seen some benefits to technology in the beginning parts of a shutdown, reversed and kind of having things like financials perform in the coming out of shutdown period, utilities doing well coming out of shutdowns. So a sector by sector analysis here, but also a market analysis, because I always get concerned that from DC, the news can always sound bad and it can always seem like a reason to kind of deviate from your plan. But at Raymond James, we want to say, all right, what is actually going to be the impact here? And the impact is not what I think a lot of people think it is. And so I think that's an important part of the conversation, Melissa.